The man, the myth, the legend. If you want truth, people, you're about to get truth. As Sean Whalen joins Cooperville Live, my friend, how are you doing, sir?
What's up, man? I'm good. I'm just pulling over here. Give me 2 seconds. I came on during Murder Hornets. What did I miss, man?
You remember?
It sounded really fucking exciting.
Remember when Murder Hornets were like the thing after 15 days to flatten the curve? It was like, oh shit, now we have Murder Hornets, and then that story kind of automatically went away strangely.
There's always something, bro. There's always a tantalizing story to keep the sheep grazing.
They're starting to reintroduce the Murder Hornet thing now, saying that they're...
No kidding.
No, yeah, it's coming back. They're apparently in the state of Washington, British Columbia. They're trying to find ways to put them in some other area instead of making their way through the state. So now we have Murder Hornets back on the list of things to keep an eye out for.
Be afraid of.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Strange how that works, isn't it?
It's people are easily distracted. They're easily led astray.
It seems like if there's not a story in the news that has some fear to it, then the news day isn't complete. They always have to have something to say, hey, here's a good story, but by the way, watch out because you could die by murder hornet or not wearing a mask or, boulders falling from the sky. The end is always in sight.
Yep. Well, the truth is, fear is one of the greatest motivators, to be really candid. It's one of the greatest uses of fear ever was with religion. It's been around since the dawn of creation, and if you can get people to be afraid, then you'll get them to give you their money and cover their face and do whatever the hell else you want them to do. It
is something that I had a doctor on a couple of weeks ago. We talked about this thing called fear theory, and we established that it's not really a theory, but they're using it in marketing, and obviously politics has been using it for eons. I think the biblical reference to it or religion references to it is how they use, if you don't do this, then this happens. If you don't do X, then Y happens. If you don't...
101. You have 3 minutes to buy or else the deal goes up. Buy now or you might not going to get it. Pay your money, put your money into the basket, repent, or you might go to hell. Like, put this mask on or you might die. It's the single greatest motivator known to man. You want to get somebody to do something, cause them some serious fear.
Well, Sean Whalen is on the program, and I'm super excited to talk to you about so many things. But the one thing I love about you, and I think that why you resonate with me and with millions of people around the world who follow your social media content, and obviously with the Lions Not Sheep thing, rocking the OG today, feeling good about life with the OG on. But you are the most honest person, I think, that is speaking their truths on social media, because it's not just the good stuff. It's not just, hey, look at the success of my business, beautiful family, we're going out and doing stuff. But you also bring up the trials and tribulations that you've been through in life, the highs and lows, the great stories, and then the fall, and then the rise again, and really all doing it now doing it in the way that this is how you want to live your life. And this is how you make decisions based on how you want to live your life. And I think that is one of the most inspiring things, because a lot of people out there flaunting their money around, they're flaunting their Lamborghinis around, they're flaunting their fancy stuff around, and they're not speaking, they're just saying, look how great it is. You come out and you say, look, sometimes it sucks, but you have to get through that part of it. I think that's one of the amazing things about you is your truth and honesty and bringing the word to people.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I found a number of years ago, as I shared a post, that the very first one of mine that went viral, it was dark. It was about my divorce. It was depression. It was really, really, really heavy. And it was interesting because I noticed 2 things that happened after that post. Number one, I felt better. It was like I felt lighter by sharing real shit, not just the airy fairy or the fluffy, but like real shit. And the second thing is I realized how many people resonated with it. Like millions and millions and millions of people resonated with this post. And it was kind of like, I consider myself a fairly smart fella. And I'm sitting there going, all right, if I feel better, naturally I want to feel better and continue to feel better. So I might as well just keep sharing shit that helps me feel better, which just happened to be my truth and darkness and up and down and everything else in between. But, from a marketing perspective and connecting with people and growing with people, I was like, man, that's a hell of a lot easier than trying to come up with some slick messaging. Why don't you just tell them who the fuck you really are and what you're really all about? And literally for the last 5 years, 6 years, it's just been this process that I've been in personally, just continuing to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And I just share all of it. And it connects to a vast, wide audience. And it's a really cool experience.
There's an amazing thing that you do that in watching your content and following along with which is amazing. If you're not following Sean on the social medias, do so, because you will get a daily dose, if not multiple times a day, with quality insight of just in perspective on life, how to raise your kids, how to treat your partner, all these great informative things about life. But what I've seen you do is there's trolls everywhere. And I always call them the angry faces. They get on their computer and they're just angry all the time, and they just type because they're pissed off. They're not even sure why they're pissed off, but they're pissed off about stuff. But you will reply to those comments with like really slick inside things. Like there's people calling you out for, way to flaunt your money around, act like you've been there before. And you're like, dude, when I acted like I was before I had money, I didn't have it. I act this way because this is who I am now. You drop truth bombs on people in the comments too.
Look, if I tell you about something, you're going to call me a liar, right? If I tell you, hey, I made $1 million this year, you're a fucking liar. Well, then if I show you, then I'm bragging. So which is it, right? If I tell you that I'm in great shape, well, yeah, whatever. If I take my shirt off, then I'm bragging. It's like, I realized a long time ago, as social media continued to grow for me, that like, the reality is people are going to judge me no matter what. And this is something I didn't understand for a while. Like I wanted to have everybody like me. Everybody wants to be liked by everybody. But I realized if I'm rich, people are going to judge me and be like, oh, well, you're a snake oil salesman. If I'm poor, it's because I'm a lazy piece of shit, right? If I'm fat, it's because I'm undisciplined and I lack motivation. Well, if I'm ripped, it's because I'm taking drugs and I'm on steroids. So all of a sudden I step back, I'm like, well, no matter what I say, no matter what I do, some asshole's going to have something to say about it. So why not just do the shit that I want to do anyway? Seeing that no matter where I go, I'm going to be judged. Why not just do the shit I want to do and have a good time doing it? And that's literally the course that I've been on. And literally no matter what I post, if I post a picture of my dogs, people be like, oh, he fucking hates cats. I'm like, no, motherfucker, I just like my dogs. You know what I'm saying? It's really, really, really funny how it all works.
It's got to be, that has to be the best feeling for you. And you kind of spoke on that a little bit, is that you're just being you. And that is freeing because you don't see a lot of that in the social media world, which is apparently where people try to live their lives is in this, this digital platform, but you're just out doing you, and to hell with whatever people say, because they're going to talk shit either way.
Well, I think people are trying to fit in, right? We all want to be liked. We all want to be accepted. I get that. We all feel that way. But the reality is so many people are trying to do shit that's not real. It's not authentic. And I hate that word, and it pounces around and everybody talks about it. But like everybody's trying to fit in someplace that they don't fit in. They're trying to be somebody that they're not. They're trying to say shit that they don't believe. They don't even know why they believe what they believe. And so I kind of show up and question the norm. I grew up as Catholic. My mom joined the Mormon church. I joined the Mormon church. I served a Mormon mission, right? And so I was an ordained minister for 2 years. Like I've studied the Bible. I've read the Bible forward and backward, front, and so many people want to argue and debate and all this other shit. And when you find yourself in a place, I bring up religion just because this is like a very sex, money, politics, religion. These are all the topics that we are not supposed to talk about that I just happen to talk about nonstop. But it's like people get so fucking pissed off and so fired up when I just ask simple questions. And it's really interesting because typically people will do that when they don't know. We fear what we don't know. And if somebody doesn't know why they believe what they believe, or doesn't know why they do what they do or say what they say, anytime something comes into question, they freak the fuck out because that causes them to be uncomfortable. And so something that I believe in and something that I'm all about in my own life is getting more uncomfortable. Like the more uncomfortable I get, the more I learn. The more I go into conversations in rooms of people that are much smarter than me. Yeah, it's uncomfortable when you're talking about widgets and gizgets and gizmos and gazmos, and I don't know anything about it, but I'm fucking learning. And if I'm learning, I'm growing. And so for me, you know, working out is uncomfortable. It's not like, yeah, you know what? Let me go have my trainer beat the shit out of me for an hour. It sounds like fantastic. No, it sounds fucking miserable and it's uncomfortable. But the benefit is you get ripped and you look fantastic with your shirt off, right? It's uncomfortable building a business and trying to bring in employees and scaling and growing. But the benefit is that you get to live a life that you really fucking enjoy and you can have abundance financially. So getting uncomfortable, doing uncomfortable shit is what leads you to the other side. It's what brings you to knowledge. It's what brings you to wisdom. It's what brings you to wealth and health. So for me, my entire game is like, you should be asking more questions. Like, you shouldn't be offended by somebody asking you a question. You should be asking yourself more questions.
You know, you've done so much in your life, you know, real estate and huge success at a young age, you know, some downfall with the housing collapse of 2008. And then kind of this lion's not sheep thing. I was listening to a story that you were telling about it, is that you figured out what you were driven by, like your passion, you know, the phrase lion's not sheep. And it again, for me, it was immediately an attraction. Like, it was immediate. I saw the hat, or I saw the shirt, and I'm like, yeah, I fucking get it. Like, I especially now, I get what this man is saying. I get what he stands for, and I believe in all the things. But you kind of left the housing stuff and went full in on this project because this is what you love. Like, this brand, this message, I'll call it a movement, has really become your passion project into like this. It's almost its own entity now, because it's not, obviously it is, it's the apparel company. It's, you know, the Lion's Den with the coaching. It's the, you know, the Lion's Not Cheap experience. It's all of these things that define really your beliefs, the things that you believe in. And it's got to feel good to wake up every day. And the success of the company over the course of a year is insane. And that goes to show you, if you put the work in, if you find the right people, like, shit gets done and people can do it. But you got to wake up every day and be, I know you're a gratitude guy. I know you get up every day and say, I'm so thankful for all the things I have in my life. But you got to feel good about being able to wake up and do the things that you love with the people that you love, and help spread this word of what Lion's Not Cheap is really all about.
Yeah, it feels good, man. I mean, you know, I was in real estate for 20 years and did really, really, really well, like you said. And a number of years ago, I just wasn't vibing with it anymore. And it wasn't that I wasn't good at it. Like, even though I went through some craziness when the market crashed, I was still making a lot of money and still doing well. But I remember sitting down with one of my buddies, and I was trying to understand how to buy apartment complexes. I wanted to go from all my single family homes, which I flipped almost 4,000 properties, to apartment complexes and commercial deals. And I remember sitting down with them and kind of explaining this to him, and him saying, like, you know, let me be candid with you. You need to ride the wave. I said, what do you mean? He's like, people love you. They love Lions Not Sheep. They love the brand. They resonate with it. It connects with people. And what people don't realize is that I went through my divorce and my bankruptcy and the whole thing, and had a midlife crisis, whatever the fuck a midlife crisis is. That's pretty much what I had. And, you know, leaving your business, leaving your marriage, you know, sticking your head up your ass, trying to figure out who you are. That's exactly where I was. And coming out of this, like, the name Kate just popped into my brain. And it was one of those things where it was like, it bounced around in my brain for a couple of days, like, Lions Not Sheep, Lions Not Sheep, Lions Not Sheep. And to me, it just became a personal mission. It just became like my mantra. Like, look, you got two choices, Sean. I had lived most of my life as a sheep. I followed what I was supposed to do. I did the right thing. I built the business. I had the family. I went to church. I did the whole gig. And I ended up almost blowing my brains out when I was 31 years old, like literally almost killing myself. And so I made that declaration. Like, I'm going to literally visualizing a lion. I mean, the lion laying in the jungle, he doesn't give a fuck. He does whatever he wants whenever he wants. When he wants to eat, he goes and kills something and he eats. When he wants to fuck, he gets up and he goes and he fucks. When he wants to take a nap, he takes a nap. He doesn't ask anybody for jack shit. He does whatever the fuck he wants. And I realized, like, I've got two choices. Like, I can do the shit that really burns inside of me, that I enjoy, that I find pleasure in, that I find peace in, that I find happiness in, or I can try and appease everybody else. And I tried to appease everybody else most of my life, and it led me to this place. Now I'm going to try it this way. And ever since then, man, it literally started with one t-shirt. And I made the t-shirt for me. And it was funny because as social media grew, I was wearing the t-shirt on social media one day, and somebody sent me a message and said, "Hey, how do I get one of those shirts?" And I called my buddy who made the shirt for me. I'm like, somebody wants to buy a fucking shirt. How do I sell them a shirt? I never sold apparel before. I didn't know anything about it. And, it created ripples from there. And I think what's really cool to me is I'm out and about, somebody will come up and say, "Hey, what does your shirt mean?" It says lions, not sheep. I'm like, "Well, what do you think it means?" And 9 out of 10 times it's somebody saying, "Well, to be a lion, not a sheep." And that's exactly what it is. So it started as like my own personal kind of 2.0, coming out of the divorce, coming out of the bankruptcy, and to now see it spread the way that it is, and to literally have millions of followers and hundreds of thousands of people that are commenting and sharing, and literally tens of thousands of clients that have bought the apparel or the hat or the shirt or whatever. It's extremely humbling. At the same time, it's super, super exciting. It pushes me. It motivates me,
Yeah. And it's branched off too. I mentioned the Lion's Den, which is, you do consulting for entrepreneurs and badasses all over the place. And then you have the Lions Not Sheep experience, which sounds like something that every man should go through. It feels like we'd be amongst better company if everybody went through that experience. And are you starting to take? I think what I see quarter 2 and quarter 4. You're looking for applications. It's very selective though. It's very selective.
It's very, very selective. The Lions Not Sheep experience. It's a 3-day experience with me here in Utah. It's extremely physical, emotional, psychological, spiritual. It's basically a 3-day immersion experience, and it's quite life-changing. So I went through an experience like that years ago and kind of reformulated it and added some things to it, and we now have the experience. So yeah, we'll be opening up applications for it here fairly soon for Q2, Q3, and Q4 events. So we've done 9 of them now. Had over 100 men come through over the last couple of years, last 5 years. And it's a pretty spiritual, phenomenal experience. It's life-changing.
Do you feel the men who make it through and come out the other side and you see that change, is there a bond there being a part of, their life-changing experience, when they have these realizations and they go through the experience? Do you feel like you're bonded with them for life? These group of men that have come through.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to war, right? Except the enemy's yourself. Like what we're dealing with right now in our culture and our society. I mean, there's more men committing suicide than ever before in the history of this country, including the Great Depression. A lot of people don't know that. If you stop, you say, well, why is that? Right? It's not because there's a lack of money. There's money everywhere. There's rich people everywhere. There's people starting businesses and making money. Like, it's not because there's a lack of hot chicks and pussy. Like, you go down to your neighborhood bar and freaking get some ass if you really want to, right? It's not for any of that. It's not because there's a lack of something. It's literally we're dealing with a reality where men literally don't know how to tell the truth. We've been programmed not to. I was programmed not to. So I did what I was supposed to do and followed the cultural norms and societal norms, and I tried to fit inside the box and be a dad and be a business owner and be an entrepreneur and do all these things that I was supposed to do. And all the while, like, inside, it was like this caged animal. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing all this for? And then I ended up having this midlife crisis. And as I went through this experience, I realized, like, I was just a liar. I just lied, right? And it's a really, really wild experience to stop and think about it. Like, why it is that we're dealing with so much chaos in our marketplace, and especially with men. And it's truthfully because we're supposed to be this, and we're supposed to talk like this, and this is what normal is, and what the cultural and societal acceptance is. And so you've got these men who are wanting to be fucking men, who have been sedated and programmed to be little fucking boys, little children. Our woman, our queen, and our girlfriends, our our wives want us to fucking lead. And we're these sedated little puppies asking for permission from everybody for everything. And it's literally causing men to just, the only option is to kill themselves. It's fucking insane. We become sedated. We become addicted to drugs, to porn, to business, to money, to a lot of different things. And it's a wild, wild, wild time right now, because there's this like separating, if you will, as the good book says, the wheat from the chaff. And, you know, being a sedated little puppy doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve your family. You feel like a trapped animal. And so the experience is literally this opportunity for men to experience what it's like to be fucking real and to put all the cards out there and to be stripped, figuratively speaking, completely fucking naked. And that's where I was terrified to go myself. I was afraid to talk about that I was scared. I was afraid to talk about fears. I was afraid to talk about anxiety. I was afraid to talk about my carnal desires as a man. I was afraid to talk about who the fuck I really was. And so I said nothing to anybody. You know, you bring back the religion conversation. Like we shun people for talking about sex and carnal desires, yet we're literally like not too far off from fucking literally baboons, right? We think we're so smart because we have microphones and cell phones and we drive these fucking cars. Yet the reality is that if mankind literally like had a power outage, think this through for 2 seconds. We think we're so fucking smart and so evolved because we're men and we're flying to the moon. If the power went out, bro, the power, something as simple as electricity, 80% of the global population would be dead in 6 months.
Right.
Think about this for 2 seconds. Look at what just happened in Texas. The power went out for 2 fucking days and everybody lost their fucking shit. 2 days. If the power went out, half the global population, 75, 80% of the global population would be dead. But what would happen to the animal kingdom? They'd fucking thrive.
Yep.
Because us assholes would be gone. So think that through for 2 seconds from a very primal, carnal reality. We think that we're smart, but perhaps we're the dumbest fucking creatures out there. Perhaps this societal norm and this expected reality that we're supposed to be living in is what's literally driving us to drink and to pop pills and to fucking lie and to cheat, because we just can't fucking be ourselves. We can't talk about certain things because, oh, we'll be labeled a fucking pig, or we're labeled a misogynist, or we're labeled this. Fuck that shit, man. My entire reality, my entire mission with Lions Not Sheep is helping people be fucking true. Helping men be men. Lead the life that they want to fucking lead. Not their church, not their mommy or their daddy or their friends or their wife or anybody. Like, who the fuck are you? What burns inside of you? What do you want? Where do you want to go? What do you want to be? What do you aspire to? What do you want to say? Cool, go do that shit. And the beauty of the Lions Not Sheep experience is that people get to see someone like me who's been through this and done it, do it. And that's really what I love the most about the experience. Not only that, but Lions Not Sheep is people are starting to wake up and say and really grab onto the reality, like, this is my life. I got one fucking shot at this. And if I continue to be miserable and live in this shitty existence because I'm so worried about being judged, or worried about the church, or worried about mommy and daddy, or worried about my job, I'm just going to be this miserable fuck who ends up dead, doing nothing, living nothing, seeing nothing, experiencing nothing.
I think that there's so much truth in that. And even with the technology that we have, I know you've touched on this in some of your posts and stuff, is like, instead of utilizing the resources that we have to educate, to learn more, to, you know, trust me, I got survival kits and guns and shit. Like we're prepared for any, you know, either alien invasion or zombie apocalypse or power shutdown. You know what after murder hornets, we'll see.
The aliens are up there going, look at those, look at those down to Earth. I wish they'd come though. I'd be like, yo, take me first, man. Let's go for a ride.
Let me see, how fast can this thing go? Let's try it out. Do have to say congratulations on your recent nuptials. Congratulations on the marriage. I know that was the amazing story, and I think the fact that you and Sax are doing a podcast now. I mean, I've shared that thing more just because of how that's how it should be fucking done. that is how having a conversation with your significant other, with your lover, that's how it should happen. It should be real and honest and blunt. And you guys, I mean, so far, I mean, in 5 or 6 episodes, you guys have covered all of the bases and told the story. I mean, you know, the Budapest dick. I mean, we got that shit figured out. But I think there's a real and rawness to that.
Yeah, it's been really fun, man. I mean, getting married, being a 42-year-old single guy and doing well and having a business and having a family and stuff, like, you know, there's a lot of guys in my space that are just in this eternal hamster wheel of fear and anger and resentment and this idea that the grass is always greener. And there's a lot of women in this space that are scarred and hurt from their past and all this sort of stuff. And so this whole dating thing, just, it is what it is. I mean, you have to go through it. But I mean, I've been divorced for 11 years, almost 12 years. And so, Saxony and I coming together when we did was really, really, really cool. We just both went to work on ourselves, like, really intensely. And it led to us, being together. And so we would literally, like, sit in the bathtub at night and we'd have these 2, 3, 4 hour conversations about shit. And I'm like, we should make this a podcast. Like, we talk about this stuff. Cause we're both very open, both very candid. We don't have a whole lot of fear around having conversations and talking about private shit and intimate shit. It's like, we're grown as adults, man. If you say the word penis and it makes you go, ooh, and you're 40 something, you got a fucking problem, bro.
Right.
Time to grow. Time to cut the cords for mommy and, like, be a fucking grown up, But it's really been a fun experience, but it's also very, very, it's difficult in a way, because you are public and you're open with your lover and the commitment that we both made. We're like, if we do this, like, we're all in. There's no topic that's off limits. Like, we're going to put everything into this because there's a lot of people struggling. I mean, half of the marriages are ending in divorce. 51% of all marriages end in divorce. And so in my opinion, there's a real need for these kinds of conversations where, it's not formulated to try and appease one or the other. It's like, we talk about everything. We talk about our fears. We talk about our anxieties. We talk about, co-parenting and blending families. She's got 2 kids. I have 3. She does well financially. I do well financially. How do we work together? How do we build together? What's our sex life like? What are our conversations like? How do we communicate? What do we do? And, I feel like we're both, it sounds funny, but I feel like we're both pretty fucking normal, average people that just have figured out a way to make this work. Like, I love to just sit on the back deck and smoke a cigar and drink a whiskey with my buddies, right? I love to kick it with my kids. I love sleeping in on a Saturday. I love going to the gym. I love, hunting and fighting and MMA and UFC. Like, I feel like I'm a pretty normal fella. She loves stones and crystals and hippy dippy shit and whatever it is. And so I really do feel like a lot of people can relate to us because we're relatable. We just kind of put it all out there and it's challenging, but it's really, really, really fun. I've had a lot of fun doing it, and I feel like we're literally just getting started, which is really cool.
I think it's relatable, and I think you have a lot of listeners that go, oh shit, like, this is how we should have conversation. Instead of, we talked about fear in the open and how people are scared and how how you were raised, and again, raised Catholic as well. So, I mean, it was, here is how you behave, here's what you talk about, here's what you don't talk about. And even in a relationship with somebody who you're supposed to be able to tell everything to and be completely forthright and honest with, like, there's this burned in fear that you have of having the kind of conversations that you and her are having. But I think people listening to that and going, oh shit, like, I feel like if we talk that way, our relationship, our lives, our businesses, our parenting, the way we operate as human beings would improve tenfold. And I think even just giving people that nugget of information, like, you can have these conversations. Like, it's okay to talk about things that make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you shouldn't be able to talk about them. I've shared that, like I said, that podcast with people that I'm like, you need to fucking listen to this and take the information and put it into your life. Go, oh my God, how much better am I going to feel when I can come home and have a great conversation with my significant other? And instead of being like, and even the space thing, you guys talked about, like, you can come home from a shitty day and it doesn't have to, she can be like, cool. You're having a shitty day. She doesn't take it in on her, and vice versa. If she's having a shitty day, you don't take it into your space, and you kind of give each other the appropriate length of time to go work through it. And when you want to conversate about it, we can get there. And there's a thing that you had said. I know you've said this in multiple things. Being impeccable to your word. Being impeccable to your word is a phrase I've heard you say several times. I want you just to kind of, how do you implement that wisdom into your day-to-day in a world where you're, like I said, when you're growing up, you're told to, I'm going to say told to lie, but you're told to kind of be the certain.
Told to, you're programmed to not say what you want to say. You're programmed to say the things that are acceptable. They won't offend anybody. Don Miguel Ruiz wrote one of the best books ever written, in my opinion, The Four Agreements. And the number one agreement in there is to be impeccable with your word. And I truly believe, if you listen to like Jordan Peterson and a lot of other, scholarly people, I truly believe that the truth, like, solves everything. Like a lack of communication causes war. Over communicating and abundance of communication ends the war. And so for me, I look at it from the stance, like, I lived both sides of the coin. I think the reason Saxy and I do so well together is because we were so fucking broken and so fucked up for so long that we did things so ass backwards and had a lot of pain through that we're like, you know what? I'm over that shit. I'm done with that shit. I'm going over here, and God willing, somebody else is over here and is down to roll with me. I think that's truly why she and I connect and are as powerful together as we are, because we did it so wrong for so long, and so for me, talking to her and saying, are you good? And she's like, yeah, I'm good. Most of my life I'd be like, oh, are you sure? Like, let's talk about this. Like, I don't like the way you said that, or are you, I don't really know. Where now she's like, I'm good. I'm like, cool. And I just keep going. And I have complete and utter confidence and trust in her and her word, and she in mine. And that came truthfully from doing it wrong and being a liar. I spent a lot of my life as a liar. I spent a lot of my life acting like a fucking baby, where, I would tell my woman, yeah, I'm good. And then I'd be over there pouting like, man, I wish she would come over and help me. And a lot of dudes do that. Yeah. Women do this fucking thing. We're shitty communicators because we lie. Instead of just saying, you know what? I'm really fucking pissed right now. Here's why. Here's what I'm going to go do about it. And I truly believe, Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot, and I really enjoy him. He's like, truth is the single greatest remedy to every ailment on earth. It's the single greatest remedy. So you name the problem, truth solves it, right? But what we do as human beings in our cultural and because we don't want to offend anybody, we lie. So it's like, case in point, you go into a therapist, right? A lot of people don't want to go to a therapist because they think there's something wrong. They think there's something broken. Oh, it's embarrassing. It's humiliating. I have to go to this therapist. Well, we go into a therapist and we have a broken leg, right? Maybe the leg stands for your broken heart, or you lied, or you cheated, or you were, you were unfaithful, or you stole, or whatever it is. Say, doc, my you have this broken leg, but you say, doc, my head hurts. And so this therapist is going to work on your head and feel your head and touch your head and massage your head and run all these fucking scans on your head and tests on your head. And they're like, oh, I think I know the problem. Here's your pills for your problem. And then you're going, oh, thanks, doc. Look, everybody, I got my head fixed. Well, the truth is your leg's still fucking broken, but you're too embarrassed to say it. And so you leave, and the pills help for 5 minutes, but then you realize, oh shit, my leg's still broken. So then you go to another therapist or another doctor or another guru, or you read another book, or you make another Instagram post or Facebook post and talk about your woes and all this other bullshit. And Jordan Peterson kind of circles back and says, the reality is, like, when you just walk in and say, I got a broken fucking leg, and you can deal with the broken leg, but we don't as a culture. And so we lie. And even like when people say, well, I don't say the truth because it'll hurt people's feelings, you're lying. And by lying, you're making your world, your connection, your relationships worse. And this is what people don't understand, is like, a lot of people say I'm an asshole and I'm super blunt, I'm super abrasive. because I speak my word. I speak my truth. This is how I feel. This is what I believe. This is what's inside of me. I didn't ask you for your permission. I don't give a fuck if you believe me or agree with me or not. This is me. And it triggers the shit out of some people. And what they would rather have is a watered down, altered, manipulated version so that they felt comfortable. And really what they're saying is lie to me so that I'm not uncomfortable. This is what we're doing in our marriages. This is what we're doing with our children. We're bubble wrapping the fuck out of our kids, wondering why they're killing themselves, wondering why they're doing drugs, wondering why they're so fucking depressed. Mom and dad, it's because you're fucking lying to them. Because you and your significant other are lying. Because you're lying. And without question, the single greatest thing that we have in our arsenal to diffuse any situation, repair any relationship, build any relationship, make any amount of money, connect with our children, get in shape is truth.
No. Truth bombs right there from Sean Whalen. The book is called How to Get Shit Done. If you haven't read that, go and pick it up. It's on Amazon. A lot of truth bombs in that one too. I got my copy coming in the mail. It was it's a great bargain. It's a great bargain, people. It was like $6, I think, on Amazon to get a copy of Sean's book. Linesnotcheap.com is the website. Follow Sean on all of his social medias. Dude, I want to say thank you so much for the time. I like as somebody who's read into the words "Lions Not Cheap," who gets a lot of the same comments when I go out in public. What does it mean? I'm like, what does it mean to you? Like, well, and usually I can't see them because their face is covered up, and I'm like, this is what it means to me. We went out and we were a little upset because we went to Walmart on Sunday. They didn't have their patio furniture set up, so we couldn't do the Sean and Sachs patio furniture Home Depot thing. But we
great, man. It was a good time.
And it looks like it started a trend too. I saw a bunch of other people posting stuff about, hey, we're hanging out here doing our Saturday ritual, and I think it's going to be like every Saturday people should get together and go hang out at their local Home Depot and.
I think we're going to make it a thing.
I think the friends joined. There was snacks. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. But thank you for taking the time out for responding to being on the show and for the inspiration, man. Every day you know remind me that there's important things when it comes to being a man and being a partner and being a father, and I take all the things that you say to heart, and it's making me a better person, and hopefully people who are watching this and now following your content will do the same, and eventually we'll be in a better place in the world. But I appreciate you, man. Thank you for all that you do.
Dude, thanks, man.
And take care of yourself. Sean Whalen, everybody, on Cooperville Live. That just happened, man.